Hello and welcome to Kush News, the newscast of the African diaspora. I'm your anchor, Ochanda, bringing you daily the top news of Africa and the Caribbean. Let's look at today's news on Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023. The Mozambique government is sending aid to 40,000 liters of fuel to Malawi in response to the appeal launched by Malawi President Lazarus Chakwera following the passage of Tropical Cyclone Freddy, which devastated southern Malawi, killing at least 438 people to date. The fuel will be delivered officially by the Mozambique High Commissioner in Malawi, Elias Zimba, in representation of President Filipe Nyusi. According to Radio Mozambique, the fuel will be used in search and rescue operations in parts of Malawi flooded by the cyclone. 238 people are still listed as missing, and more than 345,000 people have lost their homes. For Zimba, Nyusi's gesture shows the brotherhood and friendship between African peoples, who at times of catastrophe need to unite their efforts to reduce the impact of natural disasters. Mozambique has thus joined Tanzania, which has dispersed $1 million and made 2 military helicopters and 100 soldiers available to support rescue operations and humanitarian assistance in Malawi. Malawi has also requested air support from Mozambique and Zambia for search and rescue work. The Malawi government says that with the improvement of weather, it has become possible to use aircraft in the relief operations, but the country is desperately short of planes and helicopters, hence the appeal to neighboring countries. For those in Mozambique, thank you. And anybody else in the neighboring countries, thank you as well. I'm sure Malawi appreciates your guys' efforts. We stay in Southern Africa. Zimbabwe is giving Malawi prompt emergency support as the country copes with the aftermath of Cyclone Freddy, which hit with full force, claiming over 300 lives and causing widespread damage. A relief package is being quickly assembled. Government is responding to the call by Malawi's President Lazarus Chakwera to his Southern African development countries counterparts. Along with prompt food, clothing, and blankets, plus hygiene and school materials, the government will also be coordinating the delivery of additional support. It hopes the private sector and others in Zimbabwe will want to give Malawi. Information, Publicity, and Broadcasting Services Minister Monica Mutsvangwa said President Mnangagwa, aka the Crocodile, led cabinet in crafting a plan to render humanitarian assistance to Malawi following the recent devastation by Cyclone Freddy. The cyclone claimed over 300 people and caused extreme damage to homes, social services, infrastructure. Thousands of victims suffered injury and displacement while the affected areas were rendered impassable, she said. In response to the appeal of assistance, Cabinet had also constituted a disaster relief committee led by the Minister of Local Government and Public Works to draw up a comprehensive assistance package for disaster-stricken Malawi. In addition, the government has provided tents and set up temporary classrooms at Sally, Mugabe, and Russell primary school grounds to accommodate the 1,500 learners. City Council in Kwekwe is identifying site for construction of a new school. Government has released funds for drone mapping and geological survey for Kwekwe City Council in order to ensure the safety of all of its citizens and businesses. Geotechnical surveys will be conducted for all mining towns and communities facing similar situations, said Minister Mutsvangwa. For Zimbabwe, thank you guys as well for helping out Malawi. Let's go to Nigeria. Peter Obi of the Labour Party and Atiku Abubakar of the country's opposition party, People's Democratic Party, are both challenging the presidential election results after they lost to Bola Tinubu of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. The opposition leader said in separate affidavits that the election was fraud with irregularities and accused the Independent National Electoral Commission, known as INEC, of breaching the law by failing to use electronic machines to upload polling station results, among other criticisms. The election took place back on February 25th, 2023. At the announcement of the election winner, Abubakar called the result, quote unquote, a rape of democracy, after receiving 29% of votes, while Peter Obi, who received 25%, told supporters they had been robbed of victory, vowing to, quote unquote, prove it to Nigerians. Each of the three major candidates, however, won in 12 states, while Tinubu was the only candidate who scored 25% of votes in more than 24 states. A constitutional requirement, note, to be declared the winner. The appeals court challenges is expected to last several months. All past court challenges of presidential election results in Nigeria have been unsuccessful in Nigeria's election history. The APC and the PDP have between them governed Nigeria since the end of military rule back in 1999. Atiku and Obi asked for an order canceling the presidential election and for the INEC to conduct a fresh vote. Nigeria's next president, Bola Tinubu, will be sworn in on May 29th, 2023. Congratulations to those in Nigeria. Let us know how you feel. Let us know what's to come, how you feel. And we go to East Africa. Opposition leader Railaodinga now claims that attempts were made on his life and Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka during the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya demonstrations. Odinga, who together with Azimio luminaries Musyoka, Martha Karua, and Eugene Wamalwa were tear-gassed as they addressed their supporters in Mathare and Eastleigh, condemned the police officers for acting under the whims of President William Ruto's administration. Odinga said there was an attempt on the life of both him and Kalonzo. Our cars were shot at, but luckily they were unharmed. We, however, remained horrified and disgusted by the response of the police. The ODM leader stated that they will be pressing individual charges on the police officers who injured and maimed their supporters during the peaceful protest. He signaled out Nairobi Police Chief Adam Bungi for institute orders that led to the mayhem that was witnessed yesterday in Azimio demonstrations, where it is alleged that 2 people lost their lives. He insisted that the opposition coalition will not retreat or surrender until government addresses their concerns. On Monday and Thursday, they have threatened to proceed to State House to present a petition to the President William Ruto demanding the reduction of high cost of living and electoral reforms. Odinga faulted President Ruto for victimization of civil servants who were sacked, having served in the previous retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's regime. Odinga said, "We will fight as long as it takes to stop this country from being ruled by cartels, elite, and ethnic warlords. We are determined to lead the fight for an inclusive government based on merit." Those in Kenya, let us know what your thoughts are, and let us know if you plan on also continuing in the upcoming weekly demonstrations. Let's go to South Africa. South Africans commemorated Human Rights Day on Tuesday, with President Cyril Ramaphosa using a keynote to take a jab at the economic freedom fighters' failed shutdown back on Monday. In his address to the nation in the Northern Cape, Ramaphosa accused unnamed parties of trying to diminish the democracy and wanting to, quote unquote, abuse the rights of others, intimidate them, compel them to participate in protests, and compel them to participate in days when they should not go to work. He said, "I'm happy that the majority of South Africans did not heed the call, but they exercised their rights as South Africans." He also emphasized that a country cannot claim to respect human rights if it does not ensure that all citizens have access to basic necessities such as land, housing, food, water, healthcare, and education. The event is held annually in remembrance of the Sharpeville massacre, which took place back in March 21st, 1960. During that protest, Black South Africans were required to carry identification documents at all times, and police opened fire on a crowd of about 7,000 people, killing about 69 individuals. The day provides an opportunity for South Africans to reflect on the progress made towards upholding human rights and the work that still needs to be done to ensure that every South African individual rights are protected. Let us know what your guys' thoughts are on President Ramaphosa's comments, and also who you side with, the EFF or President Ramaphosa. And let's go to the Caribbean, Grenada to be exact. Prime Minister of Grenada, Dickon Mitchell, says that all stakeholders must work together to address the water challenges facing the Caribbean region brought by climate change. Mitchell delivered the keynote address virtually at the opening ceremony of the Caribbean Science and Water, which began today under the theme, quote unquote, conservation and innovation, changing the regional water paradigm. The Prime Minister says, as a region as it relates to the impacts of climate change, that water security continues to be a challenge by increasing severity of extreme events such as droughts, hurricanes, and rising sea levels. Sanitation is also a concern of much of our wastewater goes untreated into the environment. Mitchell says understanding the challenges of sustainability and climate change and the practicalities of how to respond is not only the responsibility of governments, but everyone's responsibility. Let us know your comments as well in the Caribbean and climate change. We end today's broadcast with the African proverb of the day. And it comes to us from Madagascar. And it reads, "Don't take another mouthful before you have swallowed what is in your mouth." Woo-hoo! And once again, it says, don't take another mouthful before you have swallowed what is in your mouth. Malagasy proverb. Wow. A third day talking about food. I don't know what's going on. I think maybe somebody wants me to go to a restaurant this week. Let me know your interpretation of today's African proverb of the day, as well as your views on today's top stories. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That's right. Like and subscribe. For Kush News on Kush Convos TV, I'm your anchor, Ochanda. We'll see you next time.